You know that feeling on your daily commute? Like it's just one big mess of organized chaos? Well, what if I told you that buried in all that randomness, there are some really clear repeating patterns of dangerous driving? Today, we're going to be data detectives and decode what's really happening on our roads. And our story starts with a very interesting first clue. Okay, so our investigation kicks off with this really intriguing note from traffic surveillance logs. Analysts started seeing something they called convoy movements. Now, this isn't just, a couple of cars following each other. We're talking about vehicles, a lot of times bikes and scooters, that are moving together in perfect coordination. They're making turns at the same time. It's almost like they're talking to each other. This is way more organized than just random traffic. And that one little clue leads us to the big question behind this whole thing. What if the most dangerous moments on our roads aren't just accidents, not just random bad luck or a few terrible drivers? What if they're actually predictable patterns? Patterns we can spot, decode, and you guessed it, maybe even prevent. To get to the bottom of this, we've got to follow the evidence. So let's dive in and look at some of the, pretty disturbing clues the data has left behind for us. And trust me, this is where the story starts to get really interesting. Whoa. Okay, so the very first thing that just leaps out of the data is this number. The average severity score for the incidents being logged is a 4.4 out of 5. That is incredibly high. Let's be clear, this means the system isn't bothering with minor speeding tickets or someone parking in the wrong spot. Nope. It is almost exclusively flagging really high risk, super critical events. So you gotta ask, right? What exactly are these high risk events? Well, when the analysts started digging, they found the same things popping up again and again. We're talking about really aggressive right side overtaking, drivers just refusing to yield at intersections, and get this, near misses so close you could measure the gap in inches, like half a foot apart. And then you have that weird coordinated convoy stuff we mentioned, plus something even stranger they called suspicious spotter stops. So here's the key takeaway from all this. This isn't just about a few rogue drivers having a bad Monday. The data is screaming at us that these dangerous moves are happening over and over and over again. These are patterns, right? Clear, identifiable patterns. And if you can identify a pattern, well, that means you can probably find its cause. All right, we've got our patterns of behavior. So, like any good detective, our next question has to be, who's doing it? Let's start profiling the players. Are certain types of vehicles the main culprits here? And this is where things get really fascinating, because the data shows that different vehicles are kind of playing different roles in this whole road drama. The stats show a really strong connection between the type of vehicle and the type of bad behavior. So you've got your heavy vehicles, trucks, tippers, that sort of thing. They were almost always flagged for dangerous, moving stuff, like aggressive overtaking. But then you have the lighter vehicles, bikes, scooters. They were more often caught doing those weird, suspicious stationary things like spotting. It's like they're two sides of the same very dangerous coin. But wait, here comes the plot twist. You'd think, pretty logically, that the giant, heavy trucks would be causing the most severe incidents, right? I mean, that just makes sense. Except the data says, nope, not at all. When they ran the numbers, they found there's basically no statistical difference in how severe an incident is, whether it was a huge truck or a tiny scooter. The danger level, it's just as high, no matter who's behind the wheel. Crazy, right? Okay, so if it's not the type of vehicle that's the main predictor of danger, then what is? We've got to dig deeper. What's the common thread here? What's the secret ingredient that takes a normal driving situation and cranks the danger level up to 11? It's time for us to finally crack this code. And here it is. This is the smoking gun. A deep dive into the data revealed the two things that really contribute to how suspicious or dangerous an event is. And the answer is just crystal clear. It has nothing to do with the vehicle itself. It's all about the actions. Suspicious speed and maneuvering on one hand, and the actual observable behavior of the driver on the other. Those two things are what predict a high-risk event, period. Actually, the link is so strong you can literally put a number on it. The analysis gives us what I'm just going to call the danger formula. Check this out. For every 1 point increase in how suspicious a vehicle's maneuvers are, the severity of that incident is expected to jump by about 0.6 points. That's a direct, measurable connection between a bad action and a dangerous outcome. So, let's recap. We've found the patterns, we've profiled the players, and we've cracked the code for what actually causes the danger. That brings us to the most important question of all. So what? What do we do with all this information? How can we take this story and use it to make our roads smarter and way, way safer.
Well, the beautiful thing about this kind of data is that it doesn't just point out problems, it points to solutions. The action plan is actually pretty clear. Step 1, focus enforcement on the hotspots the data uncovered, places like service road turns and flyover deviations. Step 2, monitor different vehicles for different things. Keep an eye on the trucks for those aggressive movements and watch the bikes for that coordinated spotting stuff. And finally, step 3, make the data even better going forward by really zeroing in on what the people inside the cars are doing, because we now know that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
And maybe the best news of all is that this isn't just some academic exercise. This data is totally actionable. Why? Because during these super high-risk events, the license plates were clearly visible, rated 4.4 out of 5 for clarity. That means the authorities have exactly what they need to follow up on these findings.
So, in just a few minutes, we've gone from seeing our daily commute as just total chaos to seeing it as a hidden system of behavior that we can actually decode. And that just leaves you with one last question to chew on, right? If data can unravel a story this complex, hidden in something as everyday as traffic, what other hidden stories are out there just waiting for a data detective to piece them together?